Welcome, everyone, to our continued coverage of Axiom Mission 3, also known as AX3. Hello, I'm John Rackham, Spacesuit Ventilation Lead for Axiom Space, based in Houston, Texas.
And I'm Kate Tice, Senior Quality Systems Engineering Manager here at SpaceX. This webcast is a joint broadcast between NASA, SpaceX, and Axiom Space, and we're going to be talking you through the events of Dragon approaching and docking with the space station, and carry our coverage through to the welcome ceremony that awaits the crew once they are on board the space station. And the Crew 7 Dragon spacecraft, known as Endurance, will be there to greet Dragon Freedom when it arrives. Dragon Endurance docked with the space station back on August 27th, 2023 at 9:16 a.m. Eastern Time for its 6-month stay. So very soon, we're going to have 2 Dragons up at the station. With that, let's head over to NASA's Gary Jordan for a closer look at Dragon's flight to the International Space Station. Hey, Gary.
Hey, Kate. Hey, John. So great to be with you to welcome Dragon Freedom and the AX3 crew aboard the International Space Station. I'm here at the NASA Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas, in the International Space Station Flight Control Room. Teams here in joint operations with the teams over with you in Hawthorne, working together to bring Freedom and the crew to dock with the International Space Station. We are just minutes away from the approach initiation burn to take us into the approach ellipsoid. The teams have pulled go for that and have tested out the big loop communications. But of course, the journey to get here has been quite a journey since launching on January 18th. It all started with the phase burn, the first of 5 major burns to bring Dragon Freedom closer to the International Space Station. Dragon raised its orbit using the Draco thrusters over the past day as it chases down the space station. After that, the boost burn took place.
Houston copies.
A tally-ho from the crew aboard the International Space Station. Laurel O'Hara confirming she has visuals of the Dragon Freedom as it is now inside 1 kilometer from the International Space Station.
Houston Station. Houston, Dragon Station on Space Drum 2. Station is ready for Dragon Hatch equalization.
Houston copies. Stand by.
And Freedom is ready as well.
Now getting views from the inside of the International Space Station. You can see some of the work that's been done before the crew was able to set up some of the cameras. Laura O'Hara, there on the right, she's been the one working through the hatch opening procedures, and she was working on the docking procedures as well. Commander of the International Space Station in the background there, Andreas Mogensen. In the foreground, Jasmine Mogbelli, NASA astronaut, has been working in tandem with Laura O'Hara to monitor Dragon's arrival and the Axiom Mission 3 crew, as well as through the hatch opening steps. So again, Laura O'Hara and Jasmine Mogbelli have methodically worked to opening up the hatches you see in the background there. So right in the back, that is the pressurized mating adapter. You can see on the forward end, right behind Andreas Mogensen, is the Node 2 forward hatch that is open and stowed at the top portion of your screen. And then deep in the pressurized mating adapter is the APAS hatch, which has been outfitted for the Axiom Mission 3 crew's arrival. Docking target has been removed, covers have been added, and ducts have been brought in to circulate air, and you can see at this point have already been pulled out. So the area within the pressurized mating adapter and vestibule has been equalized with the pressure of the International Space Station. The next step really is opening up the Dragon hatch. So the teams are just assessing just to make sure that that is okay to do, but you can see crews gathering right now. They got their cameras ready, smiles, and ready to welcome the Axiom Mission 3 astronauts to the International Space Station. Coming into frame is Satoshi Furukawa. Heading left from this view into the Japanese experiment module. Furukawa with high-definition microphone in tow will start to equip it and will be used as part of the welcome ceremony. We can expect the full Expedition 70 crew to be there to greet the Axiom Mission 3 astronauts, see hugs and handshakes as they ingress. By the time we have all 4 Axiom crew members on board the station population will be up to 11.
Station and Freedom, Houston on the big loop. Stand by for equalization, expected to take 3 minutes.
Freedom copies.
Michael López-Alegría, the commander of Dragon Freedom for the Axiom Mission 3 mission, confirming that he'll start working through the steps to equalize the pressure and to open up the hatch of Dragon Freedom. We should be expecting ingress momentarily. In the meantime, we have more members of Expedition 70 gathering to welcome the crew. On the right there, you see Konstantin Borisov, who flew up with the Crew 7 cadre to the International Space Station. Again, two control rooms working in tandem through these operations. The Expedition 70 crew standing by, awaiting for equalization to go ahead and open up the hatch of Dragon. Should be expecting hatch open momentarily to welcome the Axiom Mission 3 astronauts to the International Space Station. Team's just ensuring the equalization is good before going ahead to open up the hatch, but we should be expecting that momentarily. International Space Station Commander Andreas Mogensen heading towards the hatch. On the right, Oleg Kononenko, another Roscosmos cosmonaut, and Nikolai Chub. Expedition 70 now
Dragon
rounded out.
SpaceX on the big loop. You have a go for hatch opening per your decal, followed by the remaining actions in procedure 4.400 section 6, and confirming if we are good to come back on board with cameras.
SpaceX Freedom, copy, standby 1.
Again, the 7 members of Expedition 70 gathered in Node 2. In the background there is the forward end of the International Space Station. At the end of the pressurized mating adapter is Dragon Freedom and the Axiom Mission 3 crew members.
SpaceX Freedom, you may come on board and we're opening the hatch.
Copy that, Freedom.
SpaceX in Houston on the big loop, the Dragon forward hatch is open.
SpaceX copies.
6:13 a.m. Central Time. Dragon hatch is open. Jasmine Mogbelli in the background there with the still camera, Way down in the pressurized mating adapter is Andreas Mogensen, International Space Station Commander, working with the Dragon crew to open up the Dragon hatch, and we should be seeing some of the private astronaut mission crew
SpaceX
members.
Freedom on the big loop. We are complete with 4-400 entering ISS.
Copy that, Freedom. Welcome aboard.
Coming together first through the hatches, Marcus Wandt and Alper Gezeravci of Sweden and Turkey, respectively, being greeted by the crew of Expedition 70. The two are followed by Walter Villadei, pilot of the Dragon Freedom. Last coming into the International Space Station, Commander Michael López-Alegría. "11 crew members representing 7 nations now on board the International Space Station. Again, 11 crew members on board the International Space Station now, representing Expedition 70 and the Axiom Mission 3 crew. We're now in a short handover period. We should be regaining the video and audio from the International Space Station momentarily to celebrate with the crew the welcome of Axiom Mission 3 to the International Space Station. With the crew now on board the International Space Station, all hatches open between the Dragon spacecraft and the International Space Station. Once we regain video from the International Space Station, we should be preparing for setting up a welcome ceremony. All 11 crew members will gather for some remarks to commemorate this moment. Back on board the International Space Station, again, Expedition 70 gathered with the Axiom Mission 3 crew. All chatting ahead and having some initial remarks amongst each other before we begin that formal welcome ceremony.
With you on 2.
We'll go on time for the event, so at 35.
We copy.
So the crew of Expedition 70 and, again, Axiom Mission 3 astronauts on board the International Space Station confirming they have a set block of time for starting this welcome ceremony, and they will take it. Right now, 6:20 a.m. We should be starting that welcome ceremony in 15 minutes.
Station Houston on 2. We are standing by for scene and voice.
Okay, we didn't get the batteries. Just a second.
We copy.
Multinational crew currently gathered in Node 2 ahead of the welcome ceremony. We're expecting that to start at 6:35 a.m. Central Time. Jasmine Mogbelli, a NASA astronaut in the foreground, speaking with Oleg Kononenko, Roscosmos cosmonaut. To his right is Roscosmos cosmonaut Konstantin Borisov, speaking with Walter Villadei of Italy, and the pilot of Dragon Freedom for Axiom Mission 3. Expedition 70 member Nikolai Chub coming into frame behind Mogbelli.
Freedom crew, Houston on the big loop. Just a friendly reminder, we need for you to complete step 6 and 2.102 prior to the event.
Yeah, Houston, this is Freedom on the big loop. We are complete with 6.1. Your go for IMV fan activation.
Copy, we'll get it to work. Station, we are ready for the voice check. Thanks, Andy. We can use another 10 count, please. Good, scene and voice check.
As is typical with in-flight events aboard the International Space Station, conducting a scene and voice check, and we're seeing more members of Expedition 70 gather ahead of the welcome ceremony. Of course, we still have commander of Axiom Mission 3, Michael López-Alegría, and the mission specialists that were aboard, Dragon Freedom, Alper Gezeravci, and Marcus Wandt. In frame here, we have pilot Walter Villadei of Italy. To our right, his left, commander of Expedition 70 aboard the International Space Station, Andreas Mogensen of Denmark. Going right from there is Konstantin Borisov and Oleg Kononenko of Roscosmos. Continuing around the circle, Laurel O'Hara and Jasmine Mogbelli of NASA. And on the left, Nikolai
Freedom
Chub,
crew, Houston
Roscosmos.
on the big loop. You have a go for 2.102, steps 6.2 and 6.3.
6.2 and 6.3 in work.
And to clarify, Freedom, you have a go to complete the rest of step 6.
Again, we're tracking towards the welcome ceremony of all 11 crew members on board the International Space Station starting at 6:35 a.m. Central Time. This is really the middle of the day for the Expedition 70 crew members and Axiom Mission 3 crew members. Right after the welcome ceremony, their day is not quite done. All crew members will participate in an initial International Space Station safety briefing, just to ensure they're up to date with the latest information and the freshest information as they proceed about the rest of their day. Some of the crew members will then enjoy a lunch, while the remaining crew members are briefed by the International Space Station Expedition 70 Commander Andreas Mogensen, who will brief the private astronauts who have just been welcomed on board the International Space Station Axiom Mission 3. Astronauts will get a briefing from the commander. Afterwards, the Axiom Mission 3 astronauts will proceed with cargo unloading and some initial experiment and equipment setup before the end of their day. Tomorrow, Sunday, is a relatively light day for the Expedition 70 and private astronaut crew members. continuing with some cargo transfer ops, but setting up some initial experiments and enjoying a lighter day before they really hit the ground running for their first week aboard the International Space Station. Axiom Mission 3 is expected to be a 14-day mission. Right now we're targeting approximately February 3rd, pending weather, for the undock opportunity for the Axiom Mission 3 astronauts to leave the International Space Station and splash down off the coast of Florida. But of course, starting Monday, we'll begin a myriad of scientific and education activities for them to complete. All this work has been timelined in months in advance to coordinate the schedules of 11 crew members on board the International Space Station to ensure there is a seamless transition of using different scientific experiments and facilities, and that 11 crew members can get an incredible amount of science and discovery done in a short amount of time.
SpaceX in Houston from Freedom on the Big Loop. We're complete through step 8 of 2.102.
Houston copies.
And SpaceX copies.
Axiom Mission 3 crew member and mission specialist aboard Dragon, Marcus Wandt, coming into frame. We'll start seeing all 11 crew members come into frame as they close out some of their activities. We're expecting to begin the welcome ceremony on time in just about 3 minutes.
Station Houston on the Big Loop. We are 2 minutes out from the event. Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
We are ready for the event.
Please begin the welcome ceremony. Andy, Houston on 2, can you check the mic, please?
On behalf of the Expedition 70 crew, I'd like to welcome Axiom 3 on board the International Space Station. This is an incredibly exciting time for human spaceflight with the third private mission, which is allowing many more countries to participate in the scientific research and technology development that we do on board this orbiting laboratory. We have doubled the number of nationalities on board the space station, going from 4 to 8, which I think is a great testament to the international collaboration which underpins this marvelous space station. I'm also very proud as a European to welcome 4 other Europeans. I think this is the first time in the history of the space station that we have 5 Europeans on board at the same time, and certainly it's the first time that we have 2 Scandinavians on board, so I'm very happy to welcome my fellow Scandinavian, Marcus. But we look forward to the next 2 weeks, to an intense period of work on board the space station. So a big, warm welcome to Axiom 3 from us on board the space station.
Thanks, Andy. I think you said it very well. This is really a symbol of how Axiom, in conjunction with NASA and all the partners, is working to expand human access to low Earth orbit. And we've got, as Andy said, so many nationalities represented on board, and this is really symbolic of what we're trying to do to open it up, not only to other nations, also to individuals, to researchers, to continue the great work that's been going on board the ISS for the last 2 decades plus. The ride uphill was pretty exciting. Never gets old. I think we probably spent a few more hours in Dragon than we felt like we needed to, but it was all good. Great vehicle. Thanks to you at SpaceX for putting that thing together for us and for such smooth operation. Let me pass the microphone down to my crewmates just for a couple words, and then I'd like to get it back at the very end, if that's okay. Walter?
Yeah. Thank you, Mike. I want to, first of all, thank the expedition crew for this warm welcoming. It's amazing to be up here and to see how much really all the countries and this amazing international collaboration has made in space, creating this outpost. And I'm very grateful for Italy, and just a few words in Italian. So thank you, grazie, grazie a tutta l'Italia. Vorrei ringraziare non solo l'aeronautica militare, ma anche tutte le istituzioni che hanno portato qui questa missione, in questo straordinario contesto di collaborazione internazionale in cui abbiamo portato scienza, e per 2 settimane saremo qui a collaborare e lavorare con questo equipaggio internazionale straordinario. Grazie mille, and now I hand over to my colleagues and friend Alper from Turkey.
Thank you so much. I would like to thanks first for your kind hospitality to Expedition 7 crew over here. They were waiting for us at the door, actually, so that was a very nice, kind welcoming for us. I would like to thank for everybody for their great effort for us to be able to make it over here in the last 8 months training period, as well as all the counterparts for their contribution for our safe travel to make it over to ISS. We are happy as Turkey to step for the first time in our history, and looking forward to contribute into the science and research efforts over here. And I would like to say a couple words to my country. Türkiye Cumhuriyeti'ni kurarak bizlere emanet eden Gazi Mustafa Kemal Atatürk ve silah arkadaşlarına, bu vatan için canını veren tüm şehitlerimize, buraya adım atmamızı sağlayan güçlü iradesiyle devletimize ve bu imkanları bize sağlayan milletimize şükranlarımı sunuyorum. İstikbal göklerdedir. Now I would like to pass over the microphone to my dear friend Marcus Wandt from Sweden, representing here ESA.
Thank you, Alper. I also want to say first a big thank you to Expedition 70 for greeting us and knocking on our door in the middle of everything. That was pretty amazing. Been flying around and orbiting Earth for 36 hours or so, and then someone knocks on the door. That's pretty strange. And also, I want to say that having this many nationalities on a mission like this, and it just tells me that collaboration can take you very far. Entering the hatch here and meeting other people in space from so many different cultures and places around the world just give me a strong sense of future, which is awesome. I also want to say a few words in Swedish to Sweden. Så hej allihopa där hemma. Det här är förstås en fantastisk känsla. Uppskjutningen var en resa, jag har aldrig varit med om något liknande förut. Och sen att få se jorden från ovan och sväva runt och känna att Sverige på ett så kraftfullt och beslutsamt sätt valde att ställa sig långt fram i utvecklingen igen, vilket vi ofta gör, och fortsätter vara ett innovationsland och visa andra att gott samarbete fungerar. För vi har också här pionerat det nya sättet för Europa att ta sig upp och öka frekvensen i rymdutforskningen på ett sätt som inte har sett förut. Så otroligt stolt att få representera Sverige och Europa här uppe. All right, thank you. Mike?
So now I'd like to continue a bit of a tradition that we've started, and that is to award the Universal Astronaut Symbol pin, if I don't lose it, to each of these steely-eyed aviators. I think it's telling that these will be the 7th, 8th, and 9th people that Axiom has provided pins. In fact, since we started flying in 2022, no agency has pinned more new astronauts. And again, this is symbolic of us trying to open up the access to low Earth orbit to more and more people. So first of all, Colonel Walter Villadei, it is my pleasure to... No, I'm going to put it on you.
Oh, right. Great.
You'll be number 609.
Wow. That's a privilege, Mike. Thank you so much. Let me see if I can stabilize myself without messing.
You guys can, if you can slide down and have these guys slide here. Thank you. This is a real pleasure to award this pin to the first Turkish astronaut in history. I don't think I need to say anything more. Alper. Can you hold the microphone?
Yep.
Actually broke it. There we go. And finally, Marcus. Thank you, Andy.
Thank you, Mike.
I failed to mention Alper obviously is number 610 and Marcus is 611. And finally, I want to thank all of you guys again for welcoming us aboard. I know that it's tough to have guests in your house, and we promise not to spill any red wine on your white carpet. Thank you, Andy.
Once again, welcome, and we look forward to working with you for the next 2 weeks. It's going to be an incredible mission, and we're excited to have guests.
Thank you to all participants, and welcome aboard Axiom 3 station. We are now resuming operational audio communications.
All right, 11 astronauts on board the International Space Station working together for science and discovery. It's going to be a very busy and jam-packed couple of weeks with a full space station, but certainly nothing that can't be handled. This will be the third time we have a private astronaut crew on board the International Space Station, the third time we have 11 astronauts as part of this mix as complement of private and government astronauts, and of course the private astronauts representing their own governments, expanding nations to 7 nations right now on board station, conducting science for the benefit, really, of the world. For that, really, that will conclude our coverage here in Mission Control Houston, before, of course, the expedition crew and the Axiom Mission 3 astronauts. Really, the journey has just begun. So that'll wrap it up here in Houston. I'll toss it over to Kate for some closing words from Hawthorne.
Thanks so much, Gary. It really was so wonderful to see them all together. Some really nice words there from our commander, MLA. But on that note, we're going to wrap up our live joint coverage of AX-3's arrival to the International Space Station. It's been an honor to support the Axiom 3 mission thus far. We wish Marcus, Alper, Walter, and MLA a successful time on station, and we look forward to joining you when it's time to return home.
Yeah, Kate, from launch to docking, it has been an absolute pleasure sharing this desk with you again, so thank you. Over the course of the crew's time on station, we will be producing mission updates from Axiom's Space Station Development Facility, with Commander López-Alegría sharing highlights and special moments with Walter, Alper, and Marcus. So please be sure to visit axiomspace.com and follow the Axiom social media channels for real-time updates.
And with that, on behalf of SpaceX, Axiom Space, and NASA, thank you all for tuning in to watch from wherever you're watching from. With that, good morning, good evening, or good night.